All right. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers. So here we are, Focus Podcast number 4 with my buddy Evan Pang. How's it going?
It's going great. It's going great.
So we were just talking about the ketogenic diet, which you're full into, and I was just saying how I'm not full into it. I'm pretty much like 70%. When all the cards are laid down right, then I'm in it. But if somebody offers me something, I'm like, no, I'm good. I can break it.
I think I'm cheating just a little bit by the lemons. It's funny because like I'll have like a slice of lemon, and be like, oh yeah, this is my little dessert going on.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean just get it closer to your hand there. So, how long you been doing it for?
This is week 3 now. I've committed to doing it till the end of this month, so that'll be like 7 weeks in total.
Okay, so what do you eat every day? Like, what's so you have to stay away from
basically carbs and sugars. So like not even not even fruit. So none of the natural sugar even. Carbs. So like no bread, no pasta, not even potatoes. Basically trying to stay away from any vegetables that grow underground.
Mm-hmm.
So just a lot of leafy greens and meat and a lot of fat. So butter, cheese, avocado, olive oil, that sort of thing.
So pretty hard to go out and eat and
show
up to a restaurant.
Exactly. I went out for a meal with some friends, and they're getting whatever they want, like having hamburgers and stuff, and I'm just having like some leaf and a chicken with just boil that even nothing fun, like it's just, and then I'm sitting there just like, hey, how's you guys' food? Describe the flavor notes to me.
I'll live vicariously through you for your your food.
It's funny too because when you're on it, like you tend to talk about it a lot. I was at the bar and went played some music, and people are talking about whatever, like cool shit and whatever, talking about music, and I'm showing like strangers like pictures of food I've been eating because I'm like, wow, this was really good the other night, like this, look at this cauliflower pizza, and people are just like,
well, because it's like it's on your mind all the time. You're just like, shit, I gotta think about the next step here.
What am I gonna eat next?
How can I avoid eating all the stuff around me and all the sugar around me? It's especially when you're on the go. It's like real simple to get that fast stuff and shit off the shelf and bread and sandwiches, or it just. It's harder to mix something up, go home and whip something together. But once you get into it, I think it's like what you're supposed to stay away from. You can get into it pretty good.
Yeah, and I think like a big part of it was I watched this documentary, and they're like interviewing indigenous people from Australia about it and talking about food and their diets and how what kills them these days. And it's always been like obesity and heart problems and stuff like that. But like 30, 40 years ago, they were all like super healthy, full sets of teeth, and
also like all the city living too. I think stress level has gone up, and that type of food you eat has it works your body a lot. Your body's being worked a lot to break all those things down too, and I think just that this type of diet gets your immune system back up, and
for that documentary, and like I was saying, like I'm indigenous as well, and like all my family, like most of them have diabetes or have to go to dialysis, and they have to take insulin shots every day, and I'm that's not what I want to have later in life. So, and plus just trying to balance music and work. You just have to be a little bit. Well, I have to be more healthy just because, it's hard for me to go out, play a show, and then wake up 3-4 hours later to go to work, not taking care of my body. That's
I was just gonna ask too, because of like being a musician, you get off late and there's not many options to eat because you're hungry. And then the time of day you're eating too, and then
it's crazy actually. It's it's like my body's more efficient now. Like, so I'm actually the first 10 days I was definitely like hungry every day, just thinking about food. And but like now, like I have a salad with whatever vegetables in the morning, like. And it's funny because I miss the dressings. I used to miss the dressings because it was just like, you put nothing on it but olive oil and like some salt. And that just like, when your taste buds are used to sugar, they're just like, oh, this is terrible. But now like I have like, a cherry tomato. I'm like, that's so good. That's some good cherry tomato.
I'm treating myself. Yeah.
But I'll have that and then like a chicken breast. And then like literally just kind of have a few things here and there. So my appetite has gone down quite a bit, but I think it's like having the olive oil and eating like an avocado, like it's just your body's able to.
Do you are you allowed to have vinegar?
Vinegar, yeah.
So yeah, like even for salad dressing, I've been having that basic for a long time, just oil and vinegar, salt and pepper.
Yeah, exactly.
If you throw some lemon in it, it'll be good.
Yeah, it's tough too because you can't even have balsamic vinegar.
Oh, that's the good stuff.
That's the good stuff. Yeah, like you'd have the white vinegar.
Why? What's in the balsamic?
It's like I think it's grapes or something. Like it's really some.
Oh, so high natural sugar
really
content.
Processed
then.
Grapes.
Okay, yeah. I can see
but
that.
But it's weird though, because I don't know. Maybe you are allowed to have it. Maybe you have to do more research because you're allowed to have like cream on it.
Well, there might be specific types of vinegars. Like you can have it. I don't know, maybe like a white vinegar or something, or I don't know. That's a different category I'm not aware of. Salad dressings. What salad dressings you are and aren't allowed to have?
There's so much content in this diet. You should probably start like writing like an album about it.
Yeah,
like, since we'll just talk about it, But
yeah, just like how you're going like off and having a binge. It's like getting hammered after being. Off that food for so long, and then you eat it. It's kind of intoxicating.
I'm gonna see what happens, and I'm gonna be like on a different continent because I agreed to do it up until I go to Europe because I know I'm gonna go to places, and I'm gonna be like, oh, that looks good. I want to try that, but I wonder if that's gonna like help me or be really negative if I'm just gonna be like weighed down by this food trying to walk around the city.
Well, it depends where you go. Like if you're going to London, I'm like the diet's it's really like deep fried based. So London, you might be totally get fucked up. But other countries, you might end up like if you're going to France, you might end up getting some really good natural food because a lot of these countries, their food isn't as processed as ours. Like especially France and Italy and Spain, you're gonna get food that's just straight from the farm, straight from the garden, there's not too many big box stores as we have here in Canada, It's easier. I was just in Dominican for 3 weeks, and it's a lot easier to do that diet there because chicken is a lot cheaper and it's more fresh. It's like not as much factory farming, and the meat is kind of just like right from the farm. It's like you can get a lot of vegetables and fruit, especially the fruit is really cheap, but I guess you can't really have the fruit. See, so I'm doing a half-ass one, a completely half-ass one.
It's still better than.
But I was getting away from like the carbs, and
yeah.
That country actually is a very heavy carb-based diet. A lot of rice and a lot of pasta and stuff like that. But those are, when you're trying to survive off like $5 a day, it's those are the good fillers, like cheap fillers, right? So it's pasta, rice, and So you're a solo musician. Tell us a little bit about how it started and like where you're at now.
Well, I started playing music probably I was probably pretty young. That's a while ago now. Over a decade ago for sure. I started playing as a kid because I grew up out in the country, and I grew up in a house that didn't have electricity. So I wasn't like one of those kids playing video games or watching TV all the time. So I had
Imagination.
Yeah. You know, so I was forced to go out and have an imagination.
Yeah.
So I did have like this little dune buggy thing that was like made out of like a lawnmower engine,
cool.
which was pretty dope for a while. But like, it was just like a really shitty put together welded thing. So I remember like I had that for a bit, but then like took a little tiny jump and the whole frame just shattered. So then I just had like a bow and arrow and a guitar. So that was kind of.
That's awesome.
That's what I did as a kid, was just, you know, running around the forest shooting this bow and arrow, or you know, fucking around on the guitar a little bit. So
well, there's a lot of correlation between the two, because it's like those are two hard things to pick up and get good at.
Yeah.
Like that. Those are two practices that take a lot of discipline, and I think you learn a lot from them too.
Yeah, I mean, don't ask me to shoot like a bow and arrow these days. Like I probably like get close to the targets, but yeah, that's something I didn't really continue doing after I left that living situation. But yeah, like that's where it started. Was just playing music out there and just, you know, messing around. I moved out. That's air quotes right there, into the backyard, into this camper.
Yeah.
Because I was embarrassed about my music at first around my family, so I just like lived in this camper and would just play music out there, and that's where I like started developing, you know, singer, like writing songs and stuff. And it's like I lived out there all year, like even in the wintertime, it didn't even have any heating in there. You know, I guess I had this propane thing, but like one time it was on and then it like shut off. And I didn't notice, but like the propane was still coming out, so I just stopped using it after that, because I just got worried about like just falling asleep and, you know, never waking up, poisoning myself. So I lived in there all winter, playing songs, and like just had this massive sleeping bag in northern Ontario. And, you know, sometimes it'd be like, you know, minus 40 or whatever, just living in this camper.
So you're playing like to keep warm too, like pretty much. It's like,
well, it's funny too.
Stay moving.
Yeah, because like I remember after that winter, I had this cat, and it's funny because my first audience was this cat, and then
I was just gonna say
bunch of cats. I was Bubbles from the Trailer Park Boys.
Awesome.
Like literally, I was him. Because my cat, we never got her fixed, but we lived in the middle of nowhere, so it was never like. We never thought that she would go out into the wilderness and
explore
and find a mate.
Yeah.
But somehow she did. She must have gotten, the neighbor maybe had a cat or something like 5 kilometers away or something.
Yeah.
But she went out, she got pregnant. So next thing you know, it's like me and like 8 kittens living in this camper. I'm playing music, writing songs.
That's awesome.
But it's funny because we did have a generator which would go on in the evening. So but you know, I had like some Bob Marley CDs. So like when I first started playing music, I was really heavy influenced by that. But you know, I didn't really have much. You know, I didn't have the internet or anything like that.
You didn't have any media and even TV. Like even when I was young, TV was really the radio was really the way to discover new music. And
exactly. So I just had these same tracks and, you know, developed a taste for reggae. So then I would start writing these reggae songs. And I remember, you know, I moved out of that house probably when I think I was 15. I moved into the city. Okay. And was going.
So we're talking about Thunder Bay here,
yeah,
right?
We're talking about Thunder Bay, and I moved into Thunder Bay. I was renting a place with some roommates. I was like working as a dishwasher and going to high school, and then started a band.
Wicked.
And so we go out and play these bars. But the band I had, like, they were all older than me, right? So like, you know, a lot of these places would just assume that I was older as well, and you know,
you're with the crew, so
yeah.
Then
so I just having beers and stuff, and it was funny. But it was funny because like that didn't like I remember my 19th birthday at this one bar. When they were like, yeah, it's Evan's 19th birthday. I remember the bartender working that night was just like wide-eyed, like, fuck, I've been serving you for years. Like, but so, yeah, that was, I felt a little bad, but not too bad about that. You know, no one got in trouble.
No.
But but yeah, so I remember like when I went to the city, we got this band together and started playing shows because I was writing these reggae tunes and listening to a ton of Bob Marley. I actually had this thick accent when I'd play these original songs that I wrote.
No way.
And I remember it was just, it was funny just to see people's faces, and I didn't really know any better at the time. And
yeah.
Was
it like a Jamaican accent?
Yeah. It was a heavy, thick accent. I talk like I'm talking now, but then I walk up there and I'm, half indigenous, half Asian, and then next thing you know, a Jamaican accent comes out. And I'm like, I'm gonna play this original song I wrote, and then it just goes like straight up. One loving it, and so
these songs I just wrote up in my trailer.
But it was Thunder Bay. No one really. I think there was like
Bob Marley hadn't reached there yet.
There's like there's like a handful of black people in Thunder Bay, and I think my brother's friend Hugh. Really didn't like me because of that. I didn't really get it at the time because I was just a young punk and didn't really get the dynamic of it all. But later, I was at an open mic, I think a couple months ago, and I saw this like, a super white guy, but he had like the big hat, the big Rasta hat, the whole getup, and then he was playing original songs, but then he had this accent.
It just rubs off on you. It's like everybody feels the vibe.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, this guy was like 30 or something. Yeah. So it was like a little weirder. I was just like, all right, like I'm indigenous, so I get the cultural appropriation thing now, and I'm just like, and then I'm just like, oh, like that was me. I was giving people this feeling.
Yeah. It's like it's good when you can see outside the box after. You're like, oh, okay, yeah.
So it's funny, we do have an old album with this band called The Communication, and we released an EP back in those days. I actually have one in my closet right now, still unopened, and I still haven't listened to it because I still cringe at myself a little bit for having that accent. It's just looking at baby photos of, appropriation like, baby photos.
Like just did he go to Jamaica? No. Jamaica came to him.
Yeah, no, he grew up in Thunder Bay.
Jamaica came to him.
It's the Thunder Bay accent.
That's the reach that music has, right? It's like it could take you to that culture. It could take you to that time or so whatever. What was the dude from Sublime when he was like Bradley Knowles? When he was 10 or 11, his dad took him to Jamaica for like a whole summer. And that's when the whole Wailers and Bob Marley was blowing up, like 79, 80. And he came back and he just had that like ingrained in him. So he met two guys that one was a drummer and one was a guitar player. And their vibe, they just came with this style, like this island style. It just grew out of him, you know what I mean? So I think it's just whatever you listen to as a kid. And when you're discovering stuff, it just emulates out of you. And then I think what happens is you know what you like and that just helps you start playing, and that helps you get into front of crowds, whatever style. And,
exactly, and that's that's why I was like, we played that style for so long too. That was in the time when Sublime was still like big and everyone on everyone's iPods when iPods were still a thing.
Yeah, and everybody's on that vibe, like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, it's funny. It's like I always like being surprised. Like when you go up, especially we go to a lot of open mics here in Toronto.
Yeah.
And you see something that your eyes see, and then you're like thinking some sort of style, and then it comes out and it's not like it whatsoever. It's like you get like a lot of nice surprises, some weird surprises all over the city like that.
Yeah.
But I think what you were going through there is you're just going through like what you liked and just basically whatever you like helps you get on stage and get familiar with what you like, and then you can always look back and you're like, okay, I'm glad I went through those motions and I'm out of it,
Yeah, no, exactly. Because I mean, we jumped, or I jumped from several different genres too. Because we started out doing reggae, and then we moved on to rock, and now we're kind of doing this like, because I got a band together now. We got our first show tomorrow at the Revival Bar, and we play folk rock music right now, but I've been getting a lot into R&B lately, and I think I was at the CBC Music Festival, and I was, there was a ton of artists that played, but then there was one that really stuck out to me. This Toronto R&B artist, her name's Charlotte Day Wilson, and like it was just real. Like it wasn't like the songs weren't that complicated, but she just hit every
laid out nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was just, you can tell she was just in it, but I think that kind of inspired me there, just to want to make the leap into R&B and soul music.
I love R&B. I love it. I call it baby making music. It's one of my guilty pleasures, just like getting into R&B and just listening to the cool vibes. I think me especially, like all different types of artists that I'm exposed to in this city have probably made a huge influence on shaping me as an artist, and all big influence. Like you take little bits from everybody, kind of, or you come away with little bits from everybody, different feels and vibes. So you're up in Thunder Bay, your teenage years, and so when did you make the jump down to Toronto, or did you jump right down to Toronto? Did you go somewhere else?
Well, I went to. Before I came to Toronto, I guess I went to Winnipeg for a while, which was
okay.
It was a weird. I got.
Did you know anybody there? You just went,
I had some family there and some friends there, but not very many people. And I gotten out of this situation, and I was just like, I gotta just leave town for a little bit, and so I'm like, all right, where will I go? And out of all the places in Canada I could have chose, I landed on Winnipeg for some reason.
The fucking coldest spot of the earth.
So I went to Winnipeg, and it was terrible for music there for me.
From my experience, the coldest place on the fucking planet.
Like I didn't know very many people there, so it was like, and I didn't know anyone there with similar interests. So I started landscaping at first when I got there, and so my crew, they're all right, but they weren't.
Is it like a big city jump? I don't know the population Thunder Bay compared to or Winnipeg.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the population of Winnipeg. It's like the capital.
It's definitely not 1 million.
No.
There's no way it's 1 million.
It's got to be like 500,000-600,000.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like.
And Thunder Bay is just a little over 100,000. So the population jump was big, but. Yeah,
but not a huge, like, big city jump.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, when I got there, I think I was 18.
Yeah.
So, or 19 maybe. Old enough to have beers anyways.
Yeah.
So.
Good enough.
And so I was working this landscaping gig, but none of them played music, none of them. So I work all day and go home and go sleep. And that was my life for probably about 6 months there. And then I got laid off because that winter set in and it just got freezing. And I started working at this call center. It was funny. It was funny because it was a call center for Nintendo. So like,
no way.
Yeah. So I literally like sometimes I walk people through video games or. So it wasn't
It
wasn't the worst call center job.
Yeah.
But yeah, in my training class, there was actually a few musicians in that class, and next thing you know, like. Yeah, then we started going out, playing open mics, jamming out, and then so it was great. It was great for that little. Like I was only there for I think 9 months. I was only there for 3 months with meeting people I'd actually do stuff with. But then it was time to go back to Thunder Bay, play, get the band back together. So then I think we were in Thunder Bay for probably about a year, and it was work and both music kind of intertwined there. I was a prospector up north.
That's hilarious. So do you mind if we take a break right now?
Yeah.
I will start on Prospector going back. I was just looking at, we're past the 24-minute mark.
Right.
Usually I take a break at 20. So we're going to take a break here with Evan Pang, and we're going to come back with part 2 with the Prospector career.
I'm going to play a song called Prospector. So I used to work as a prospector, and the funny thing for me to think about that is I work in the winter times and I snowshoe for like 27 kilometers. I work in summer times and walk for like 40 in a day. And I get to Toronto and I remember specific parts of the day when I'm just like, oh wait, you want to meet me at Bathurst? I gotta walk like 4 blocks. And the blocks are different for me. Like I think block like major city block, not like the next street. But I remember just like getting so lazy now that I've been in the city. But I remember like just like snowshoeing across like a lake where there just seems like there's no end, and just like snowshoeing across and being like, oh man, what I would give not to have or to have just some cement to finish the rest of this journey across this lake. Moral of the story, I'm lazy now. I live here, so let's all be lazy, and we're gonna take the subway or Uber or something at the end of the night. There's a song called Prospector, back from when I walked places.
For long.
I've been going so long, you and I found you another. Which I never understood. I live my life by the rules, which I never understood. Just an alley for just for your trust, for you. I've been going so long, you and I know I found you another. Just memories, more than pictures of the past, on the page. And it's all I see when I go to sleep. And it plays on repeat, and I wake up. And I wake up too fast, and it's times like these that you forget to count your blessings, or your blessings, or your blessings, or your blessings, or your blessings. For your blessings, for your blessings, for your blessings.
people had their light show in the daytime, but it just didn't come across. It just looks like they're just standing there. Well, it was what Phoenix was kind of doing too, was just standing there, but that light show just made it so much more intense. It got everyone just amped up.
Yeah, we're talking about how important lighting is to live shows, and we're just
unless you're, I don't know, like Kendrick Lamar. Like I saw him last or whenever he played at Way Home, and I think to this day that was probably one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and like he didn't actually have too much going on as far as lights and
he's got a good band.
Well, actually, this for a good portion of the set, it was just kind of him up there, which was crazy.
Okay.
But he just owned that stage.
Yeah, you got it.
Mind you, we got like 20 feet away from the stage, which was crazy because like we were at the camper section, and then he started playing, and he was like last guy of the night. We got there, and the whole thousands of people. We had to like fish our way through there, so that was like a violent thing, cutting through all these people who were so mad that we're cutting through, but like
you got the size. Nobody's gonna mess with you,
so
dude.
It's just like whatever. Like we got a couple. Like I definitely got a couple elbows in the ribs and stuff from just angry people. But I'm like whatever. Like
if I got a nudge and I turned around and I saw you, I wouldn't really have a problem. I'd just be like, go ahead, sir. Don't worry about it. We're cool. So we left off at you were a prospector.
Yeah. So
explain, please.
So I got I think at the time I think
you left Thunder Bay. You're talking about leave Thunder Bay.
Yeah, I came back. I think I was working at like a Kelsey's restaurant as a cook, and then got offered a job doing prospecting because I was actually gonna go to school and go do paramedics.
Okay.
But then my buddy's just like, hey, if you want a job, like we need more people. It's you make like $700 a day if you can do that. And I was just like,
jeez.
Yeah, I'm cooking at Kelsey's for I don't even know what the minimum wage was at the time, but
less than 10. That's
definitely
for sure.
less than 10. And when I heard that, I was just like, all right, yeah. Fuck school. Fuck that.
Let's head on up to the Yukon. So where did you go for this?
Never made it to the Yukon. They did have a couple jobs around the country, but very, very little. It was mostly Northern Ontario, so like just kind of dropped up, like middle of nowhere. Just super far up in the lowlands. So
what does the job entail? Because when I think prospector, I think like a guy with an old leather hat and like pots and pans around him and like a sifter, sifting through sand all day.
That's the thing, right? Like it's funny because you can go to the M&R and you can get your prospector's license for $35. Well, at the time you could.
That's it. I'm prospecting.
It was $35 and you write this like test, which is like 2 pages.
What consists on a test for that?
I can't even remember to be completely.
Do you like gold? Yes.
Do you want to quit your job at Kelsey's and make $700 a day? That was the only question. So I did that, took the job, and a lot of it. Well, it's because a lot of the areas we went to, like it's already been explored, it's already been tested and proven.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the areas at the time, and so we just got in there, and we didn't do a whole lot of actual prospecting. Most of what we did was staking claims, which was just setting up these perimeters around sections of land in the middle of nowhere so they can own the mining rights to it. Because unless if you own the mining rights to a portion of land, you only own them for 2 years unless you put a certain amount of money into that land. So we just get sent into the middle of nowhere. Like, we were working out of Thunder Bay, and we'd drive 7 hours to Red Lake, or 7.5. Then we'd take like a 20-minute little tiny plane up north, get dropped off on.
Really going up there.
Get dropped off at like a fly-in fishing resort, rent a boat, go for an hour boat ride, and then so really in the middle of nowhere. And I think. Well, you see me play and doing some of like the guitar, like tapping stuff, and it's funny because that like really blows people away. They're like, "Oh, how did you learn that, man? Like, how long did it take you?" And I was just like, honestly, you could probably learn it just as fast if you were in like a prospector's tent for 3 months straight with nothing to do after work.
Yeah, I learned it from the prospectors, hanging around campfires and eating beans. And yeah, I bet you would pick up a whole bunch of styles just from hanging around these guys.
Actually, no. I don't think I've ever worked with a musician. The company I worked for, it's a tough job, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it attracted a certain kind of roughneck,
ruggedness,
guess, for the lack of a better word. So I wouldn't say too much of them were into the arts. One guy showed me how to do origami. I think that was as close as we ever got to someone. Yeah, I used to know how to like make a frog and a spider, and I can't do it now, but like it was cool when I knew how to do it, and was just like go on a date and pull out a piece of paper while we were talking, and it was a cool little
a little side gig. If I don't find any gold today, I'll make some origami for people.
But I remember trying to do it. I tried to do that again. It was just a crumpled up ball of paper. It's just one of those things that you do lose if you don't use.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that actually for a while, and I did that before I left Thunder Bay too. Well, that's the when I was working at Kelsey's there. But yeah, so I did that, and the thing is that's such an old timey job, right? Like to go out.
Where are you going to expand
with
on
your
that?
axe and set up the perimeter? It does make sense that they got rid of it, because if you're paying some guy like a ton of money to go to the middle of nowhere and do this thing, especially I guess where they
put them up, and
yeah, it just doesn't make sense financially, and I guess that's why they switched it to computers or whatever.
Oh, so they're just machines go out there.
Yeah, so nearing the time before I came to Toronto, they were just like, we're going to be replacing this with computers, and that's kind of was the push to kind of leave, because I was like, well, I'm not going to go back to Kelsey's or go back to
once you've seen gold, you're like, screw this, man, I ain't going back. Yeah. So you got out of that and you left Thunder Bay?
Yeah, like because I was still playing in a band at the time, and they would kind of threw us off because it made it really hard to plan shows and stuff, because sometimes it would be like, I would sometimes get a call the next day being like, yeah, we're gonna go out tomorrow for a week, or we're gonna go out in 3 days for 3 months, like.
So that would kill any plans for shows, or
yeah. And I remember one time, like, we did have the show booked, and I said I'd do it. It was like this little music series festival thing up in Thunder Bay, and then I got this job, and I was up on this job, and then the band was adamant that I show up for this gig, and I was like, all right, I'll come. So. And I was up there, and I was, averaging out like $500-600 a day.
Nice.
And then, in order to get back, I had to, take we had to quad back to the vehicles, and then I had to get my boss to drive me to Red Lake. And from where we were was like, I think it was about 3-4 hours to get to Red Lake. And then I had to hop on a bus from Red Lake to Thunder Bay, which was like another 8 hours.
That's dedication for a gig.
And so went back, got there, slept. I came a day early, slept. And then we got getting ready for this gig, and then we got pushed back. So we didn't get the prime spot, and then our set got cut short. So I think we were supposed to play for an hour, but then we only got to play for 30 minutes. And then at all said and done, we didn't even. Yeah, I think we made like maybe $20 each and played for not very many people, because we were kind of at the venue that was kind of at the edge of wherever all the other venues are. But yeah. So yeah, prospecting wasn't the best for playing shows, but I mean, I definitely was able to practice a lot out there, so that was the benefit, and just have a lot of interesting life experiences. Like.
Oh, it makes for a lot of good songs too.
Like I'm sure I have a few. Just like, yeah, like snowshoeing for like 20 kilometers. You know, there was one time where I had a near-death experience and was just like, because you work by yourself when you're doing it. Like, you have a camp of maybe like 5 or 6 people, and everyone kind of goes out and does their own work every day. And so I remember snowshoeing, and it's probably like halfway through the day, and it was like crossing this river. I think it was probably like 12 or 15 meters wide, so it's a fairly big river. But I guess they must have had like a strong current underneath or something, because I was snowshoeing across it, and then like, you know, somewhere in the middle the ice gave way, and then like I threw my axe and like kind of hit the ice and like kind of was holding onto that and could feel the current, and like I got snowshoes, so if you go under, it's not like you can, you know, your snowsuit is gonna get super weighed down, and you can't really swim with these big snowshoes on. So I remember just like, you know, clawing my way across this river, but the ice kept breaking as I was going, and like it was like almost in slow motion. And I remember just like thinking like, oh my god, like this isn't how I go out.
I'm
like
gonna go out as a prospector.
I'm not dying out here.
You're gonna make a bunch of folk songs about you in the future.
No way. And I'm just like, this whole time I'm just like, and I remember actually like praying in my mind, and I'm not even a religious man, right? But I thought I'd reach out for the chance.
Yeah, somebody help. Yeah.
Come on, man. If you help me, I'll be such a good person.
Yeah.
And you know, I ended up getting out. Obviously, I'm here having this interview and on the podcast, but like made it to the other side, and like was freezing. Like a super cold day that day, but you know, there's this thing you can look for called old man's beard. It's just like mossy dead trees. So I just broke a bunch of those branches off, started a fire, and just kind of like warmed up and thought about that.
Wow.
And it was funny, yeah. I remember like I was so humbled for the rest of that job, being like, wow, I almost died. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for my goals and all that once I get out of here. And then I think I got back and we had a big party, and then it was just debauchery, and the whole cycle started again. But
well, that's a good reason to celebrate.
But we did
dodging a bullet like that,
and we did end up leaving shortly after that. I think we moved to Toronto probably that year.
Wow.
And came here to play music, but yeah.
So you've been in Toronto for how long now?
5 years, I think. Yeah.
5 years. So what happened when you first moved here? You got a job, or did you get just a place first? And
well, we got a place, and so well, I think I lived off a credit card for the first little bit, which probably wasn't the best call, because I decided to go to college at the same time.
Okay.
Because I mean, yeah, I always needed that security and that backup plan, because I don't have like any piggy bank I can go to if things go south. So I'm just like, all right, well, maybe I'll have a backup plan. And I chose journalism of all things, which I think a lot of people were like, that is the worst backup plan I think I've ever heard of.
Well, I guess if you're talking to prospectors and they're like making $6 a day, they're like, what do you need to go to school for? Yeah. So you came down to Toronto and you went to broadcasting?
I took journalism, actually. Yeah.
Journalism.
And was playing music. And we were playing as much as we could. And then I think like it was just adjusting to the city living. Like it was crazy, like a lot more expensive here.
Yeah, now you're in the big city.
When it was in Thunder Bay, right? So there was a lack of money, and then we lived so far north too. So trying to get out and play shows was, we didn't have a vehicle. So every time we would play a show, we'd have to go rent a car, get all the gear, bring it down there, and make $50 and and then save up and try to do it again.
Get motivation to do it again.
So then everyone, got jobs, started working, and then that kind of fizzled out for a bit. And then we came back, and we started recording this EP. And so that's actually, it was such a long process. And that's actually going to be ready probably within the next few months. Yeah, so we have this EP finally did all the tracking. We're getting ready, and then our bass player, who's also a phenomenal singer songwriter, started her own band to kind of do some of her music, and then in the process, she decided she just wants to kind of go and do her thing, and so then we met another lull, right? So.
Yeah, because everybody knows all the songs now, and then now you got to start over.
Yeah. So we ended up finding a new person recently. I played this open mic festival, and it came down to me and this other girl. But I ended up winning it, and you won some recording time. And she's like, "Oh, all right, like, well, what are you gonna do?" And I was like, I got this song I play with a band. I just gotta find a bass player." And then she's just like, "Oh, you use mine if you want."
No way.
And so now he's in the band, and we're we've had a ton of practice, so we're playing our first show tomorrow. So
that's sweet. Yeah, because the times I played with you had that. I think I played with you. You had that band, and then you went through the motion of her getting her own band, and then now you got a full band back again.
And it's great, and like everyone's super tight at what they do, and it's and they're super open to trying new things, which is great, because like I was saying earlier, like I think R&B and soul is the next little area I kind of want to jump into and explore and expand.
Yeah, and then that's another, like people being surprised by just, I don't know, have a preconceived notion of what you look like, and then you go up on stage and then throw something at them different too, like, and just like surprising people like that. That's cool. Yeah. And then you giving a totally different angle to your music too. And
I think just going for it again, because I mean, like I said, sometimes it's so easy to get distracted, after journalism school, I didn't think anything would pan out with that. And then I started working at a desk job, and the days started turning into months, and then you're just like, oh shit, what was the reason I came down here for again?
Oh yeah, music.
Yeah. So
yeah,
and that's where the whole health thing comes in, and like it's just realizing how lazy I got, and was reflecting on that. The reason I came here was to play music, and reflecting on thinking about prospecting, and thinking about all these crazy things that I would do in prospecting, and it's so much easier. There's so much access here to play shows and do something with music. And you got a cool story. Like, there's a cool story behind it too, like of how you just got into music and how like your influences and stuff like that. So it all carries out to your music and your live shows. It was I think it was funny because I just recalled this one specific prospecting job where it was just like I reflected on that when I thought about like how lazy I've been in pursuing music. I was like, oh man, it's gonna take so long to get there and then record these tracks, and then I think like I just had to slap myself out of it. And like for example, like one job was just like, we did that trip from Thunder Bay to Red Lake. Took a flight to this flying fishing resort, rented the boat, did the hour trip to the middle of nowhere. Like that's, Thunder Bay is a 20-hour, 16-hour, depending how fast you're going, drive from Toronto. But we went there, and we sat, he dropped me off on this island, my boss, and I went to the middle of this little island, and this claim had come open, and you're not supposed to start till 9 when they come open, but I was like, no one's going to be here. Like, I should just start working. And then, I hear cracking in the bush. And then so I grabbed my axe, and I just assumed, like, wow, a bear swam to this island, and now he's going to try and eat me.
Now you're stuck.
But then, like, I got my axe ready, and then this little old man comes through the bush.
What the hell?
To the exact same location, because we have, like, the coordinates on the maps and stuff, right? So, we got this. Now we're sitting there. It's 8:30, and we have 30 minutes before we're allowed to start, and we're making small talk, but really it's like we're eyeing each other up.
Yeah, are you on my spot? It's like,
oh, we knew we were on each other's
Yeah,
spot.
yeah.
And the thing is like, so now we got two separate companies trying to get this property, and so we're both talking, trying to be friendly, but no, only one of us is walking away with money today.
Yeah, holding your pickaxe.
And I felt kind of bad at first. I'm like, oh man, this old man, I'm gonna take his money.
Yeah, he's been probably living out here. And
Yeah. But then he's like, oh yeah, I do this on the side, like I'm a bush pilot. I'm like, oh, what the fuck, man? Like,
Fuck,
you don't
I
need
need
this.
it.
Go
Yeah.
home.
you just do it. You're prospecting for fun here.
So then sure enough, like at 9 o'clock rolls around. It's like this lumberjack competition. We're making these posts, and then we're like putting up the perimeter across the island. We get to the end of this island, and then two boats are waiting. We each jump in our boats, and then it's a boat race. And then
Oh,
like
talk about the rat race up there.
yeah, literally. And so like we're boating, and we're not stopping when we're getting closer to the shore. And I'm looking at my boss. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, just use the momentum. I'm like, all right. So as soon as like the boat like it hits the land, like I just like use that momentum and like launch into the forest a little bit.
So
Set up a
you're
post.
ready for battle. Yeah,
Set up that post, start going, and I kept beating this old guy, but then he kept catching up to me because I guess he was there the day before and he prepped his line and he made all these. You're allowed to make posts and like have them ready, but you're just not allowed to like stand them up.
Oh, okay, I see.
So I would get there, I'd like hack out this post, and then he would just like kind of like stroll up, grab his hidden in the forest, set it up.
I've been waiting.
And then I'd be like, oh shit. And then like I'd have to run up again, and then like halfway through, like I was like, I'm actually not gonna beat this old man. This guy's got these posts hiding around. And so the thing is, like, so
He was the early bird, eh? He was.
so I did like, you get this square, so I ended up just like cutting it in half and only claiming half of that property, which is something you're allowed to do depending on the size. And man, I just remember the look on his face when he came to the end, because I cut it in half and took half of it, and his posts were still on my property.
Yeah.
Like he actually had to go and physically move those posts like a kilometer through the
Onto
forest
his
each.
side. He's like, this is my side of the lawn, or this is
But and then I just reflect on those crazy things, like, you know, living in a prospector's tent for 3 months in the middle of winter, like -50, like, and think about like, whoa, like, gotta put this energy back into making music. Like,
Yeah.
if I can do that, like, I
Yeah.
should be able to come and fucking drop an album in a couple months, like.
Yeah, if you can do that, you can pretty much apply it to anything. You can survive those elements, you know, and do that.
Yeah, well, it was just that mindset, right? Like, you're out there. It's like, it's not like you just catch a bus home. I'm like, I'm down at this job. It's like, no, like, if you want to go home, you're going to have to find your own way and walk. And two guys actually did one time. It's crazy. They walked like 90. Like, I don't even know how far that was. It had to be 20 kilometers to the road, and then they had to try and hitchhike from where we were back to Thunder Bay.
So anybody here is like bitching about their day and their commute. It's like, well, when I was your age, it's like you have no idea. It's yeah, that's a whole different level of getting A to B.
But it's the attitude that I think kind of I'm trying to get back into with music. The attitude that I had there, where it's like, all right, like, you have no choice but to just go and do it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just trying to apply that to music and be like, you know, you got no choice but just go out and do that.
Yeah, or else something else. Well, we were just talking about that outside. We were just talking about the attitude with it is like pretty important, because there's a lot of pretty much every gig you do, it's like gonna be defeating. Yeah. Everything you do. Like every gig you go and get excited for and get people out, it's like, okay, I didn't make a lot of money this gig, but it's like, it just, you got to keep at it. You got to show up on time. You got to, you know, do your sound check. You got to wait around. You got to do this. You got to wait around to the end of the night to get paid, and all those motions.
Yeah,
and it's discipline too, right?
Yeah,
and if you get through all those shitty times, it just gets, you know, it gets better and better if you just stick with it. And
it's just keeping that momentum going too. Like, yeah, like we got this show got the show, but like, yeah, we had, you know, with this third party, we have a promoter who's just like, you know.
Well, we were talking. We talk about a lot of that too, and me and you, when we do gigs together, and we have some downtime, we talk about that, and just like there's a lot of disconnect with promoters nowadays. I think where it's just you're not getting the right percentage you deserve as an artist for selling your own tickets and stuff like that, and a lot of the rap shows are pay to play, and I think it all kind of ties down with the discipline too. Like if you just go out and create your own shows, and you're not going to get the draw that a lot of these pay to play ones can get, but you're going to build your own audience, right? And
well, it's interesting just where the music comes in, like the music part. Like, you know, you think about these venues that set up their venues to be music venues, and then they have, you know, is it just they just don't have the time? Then it's like, what was the point of opening up a music venue if you're gonna have all these promoters who, like, it just doesn't seem like, you know, they're there for the money. They're not there for finding an amazing bill to give to that venue's clientele. They're just thinking like, who's gonna bring these people in and you know, pay the cover that goes into my pocket.
yeah, well, I'm just complaining about, you know, being an artist here in Toronto, and it's just like a lot of onus is on the performer to bring in people, which I get, but like if there's gonna be a second party promoter, it's like you'd expect them to do some promotion. Like, yeah, and yeah. I kind of think it's just lazy nowadays. There's a lot of lazy promoting going on. Not to call out promoters, but a lot of you are lazy.
Yeah, well, no, it's true. It's true because
and they take a good cut.
They
like,
take a good cut, and they call you too, and it's weird too because they like I've had promoters who they'll call you like, oh, how's the ticket sales going? And it's just like, yeah, they're going all right. You know, what time am I playing? And they're like, oh, that depends on the ticket sales. And I'm like, oh, it's a hard sell to be like, hey, you want to come to my show? I'll be playing anywhere between 6 hours. So
yeah, do you want to hang out for 6 hours and watch 14 bands? Yeah, it's a hard sell.
And it's weird because it's just like, all right, well, I mean, if you can guarantee this amount of people, we'll talk about it. And then it's like, all right, whatever. And then it's like, all right, well, if you can send me $200 up front, I'll give you that spot. And it's so weird how it's
pay to play. It's like it's basically a term, pay to play. It's like they're kind of jockeying you, you know, and they have 8 bands. And they're going to slot 8 bands. And then they're like, okay, whoever sells the most tickets, I'm going to put them at this specific slot. So it has you scrambling a lot at the end. And it have you putting a lot of pressure on your friends to come out $15 to see you play for half an hour. And it's like most people aren't going to come out for that.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's insane.
So, yeah, I went through a couple of those too. And staying away, and it's easier once you've done a few of your own shitty gigs, and you know, you can get that on your resume and just show other venues. They're like, hey, I can do this on my own, and a lot of places will take you. It's just who can you bring? And Toronto's just a really tough market. There's so much of us. There's so many of us artists. And I think a lot of the venues too, a lot of the venues that are just music, they just didn't put any work or money into fixing a lot of these places up. So it's also like harder to convince people to come out to some places that they haven't even been to in like 10 years or whatever. It's like, oh, that place is still around. And,
and that's a part of it too, because there's like a handful of venues that are actually worth playing, right? And that's where I stand. It's just like, you know, if I'm going to put all this time into practicing, I'm not going to, you know, I don't want to go out and play it on a terrible sound system that, you know, doesn't do it justice.
Absolutely, yeah. You it's like with one way of the pay to plays, you get a bigger audience and you get more people seeing your shows. but then at the end of the day, you don't walk away. Either way, you don't walk around with much money at all, right? So it's just building a more venues under your belt, and the more gigs you can take, the better. That's all. I don't have any advice for anybody, but just take what you can. Take as many gigs as you can, and then you can figure out what you like and what doesn't work for you, or what does work for you. But I think personally, promoters just need to do a better job at promoting, and just like, it's not just about like putting a Facebook page out. It's just like, and it's kind of hard from promoters now, I guess, from their perspective, because it's like people ignore a lot of stuff now, and ignore a lot of stuff on social media. Yeah, like it's like, what's the angle now? And it's like, you can't put. It's so limited to putting street posters up now, and it's like, unless you, the way I find it is like, you have to build up kind of your own audience now, and they're gonna follow you around to wherever venue you go.
Mm-hmm. And you just gotta bombard people now. You kind of do. Like, there's just so much going on. People already have their plates full, so you kind of just, this is my first show with a band, and we actually managed to. We're gonna manage to pull a lot of people through the door, which is crazy. But
that's great. And then they'll that's all it takes with these ones too, is you get the numbers the first time, and then they'll put you on, because they'll have reoccurring shows and
well, I'm not sure if I'm ever gonna go back to the
ones after. I know what you mean, because we talked about this a lot too. But at least you'll have it under your belt, and then just hit them up. Just hit up venues, and that's what I'm saying to all artists. Just email them straight up, like call them, and just say, this is my style, and this is what I've done so far this year, and then these are a few of my links. And most places they'll start you off like a weeknight or whatever.
Yeah, here's my mixtape, peep it.
Yeah, here. Did you hear about that? There's one guy at McDonald's in the States, and he was giving out his mixtapes.
Yeah, in Happy Meals.
And it's like, bro, talk about using your platform and your work to push your stuff. It's like,
oh man,
perfect. That would be the sickest like Happy Meal toy to get. It's like
a funny story about that is like, so I get like this insane anxiety every now and again because of something kind of similar to that.
Yeah.
So I work for this major news organization, and on their digital side, and so I sometimes post stuff to their main Facebook page, which has like over 1 million followers or something. Like, it's a massive. It's their news brand. And so when I'm on my own personal Facebook and I'm setting up an event, like, oh, come to my gig, I'm playing an acoustic set, and those little sponsored ads that show up that just like. So those pop up when I'm playing gigs, but it shows it as CTV posting this gig, like, oh, my show, I'm playing an acoustic set at this cafe.
Brought to you by CTV.
And so, like, that happens, and I see that, and, like, I'm just like, holy fuck, I'm going to get fired tomorrow. Like, I just use CTV to all their followers, come watch me play at this coffee house. Or come, and, sometimes I'll just write silly little, like, drinks and, like, or, get fucked up, something stupid.
Yeah.
And so I see the CTV logo on that. I'm just like, oh no.
Oops. Well, you can get in trouble for that now. Like, I know people that I work with, and position I do for concerts, like house lighting. And so people post like, I'm working this show. Mm-hmm. And we've actually had to sign stuff where it's like, you can't attach yourself to these companies. No. Like, that's an accidental one. But it's like, you can't, like, be saying, oh, I'm here, so-and-so, I'm right by front of house, and I'm like, here tonight, and attach it to your personal Instagram or something, But there's a lot of people that I work with that have huge followers because of what they're attached to, they're the face of this, and then it's like, yeah, people are going to associate you with that. And it's like, no, this is not brought to you by this company. It's like, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you had to sign stuff like that, or you guys got to be careful on social media or stuff, or
yeah, I'm sure there's something in the
fine print
contract
there
or whatever. But I mean, in saying that, I think I'm usually just careful about that these days, anyways, because I know whatever you put on the internet, it's like it's gonna be.
yeah, especially if you have
there.
something like opinionative or something. You know, it's like yeah, I can't go on and complain about the hockey broadcasting or anything like that. I'm just be like throwing coworkers under the bus or whatever too, right? Well, there's been people in my industry too where they're posting stuff being courtside and stuff while they're working.
Yeah.
And I know they got shit for that. So it's like you can't be like, "Hey, I'm chilling with LeBron here," and it's like post it up on your personal site. It's like no, they'll you'll get in trouble for that. I think. And yeah, I've tried to disassociate myself with the companies I work for too when I'm branding my music as well. Yeah, because you want to be able to draw on your own talent, right? You want to be able to, like, people are coming out just because of my music, just because of my style, or you know, these are my friends and family coming out. And yeah, it's hard to really or it takes a while just to develop kind of your own style and your own your own niche, your own following, kind of what people like to hear. And
yeah, and you know, like, there comes a time, you know, like yeah.
So are you finding it easy or hard for when you've been put into showcases? Like, do the promoters find it easy to put you in somewhere, or you have a unique style that's kind of harder to?
You know, I think with the folk rock thing we're doing right now, like it kind of like spans around, you know, quite a bit. Like I don't think
you could be linked up with so many other styles.
I don't think there'd be a lot of like places for us not to fit in, unless you're gonna, like, you know, throw together like a metal show, or you know maybe like other than that, like, you know, we've had, you know, I've had people come up from all backgrounds who enjoy the music. So
well, that's the one thing I do praise about Toronto, is that no matter what your style is, what your background is with music, you can plop yourself pretty much in a venue anywhere in the city.
Yeah.
That there's always lots of venues that are willing to try a whole different styles, and even with myself, I know I'm hard to place into a category. It's like, do I put them with rap or rock or whatever? I was just like, put me with anybody. Just throw me with anybody. I don't care, man. Like,
but that's
like, and then you're getting other people's audiences that would not necessarily come out to see your style of music or whatever.
That's perfect. But like, I mean, like, even saying that, like, even if you just go to a rock show, you know, maybe just get the band to play some riffs and, you know,
well, I went. We did a metal show in Hamilton, and it was like a metal bar, like strictly metal. And then we played, and it just kind of like mellowed it out for a little bit, you know. Yeah. And it was like people were surprised and they enjoyed it. It was a different flow to the night, you know.
Yeah, no, we've definitely like back when I was in Thunder Bay, we were doing reggae. That was we did get thrown into a couple metal shows, because that was when I was growing up there. The main music was like, you got your classic rock, or your metal, or your
like with most outside of Toronto, you're gonna go. There's gonna be like 2-3 genres that are the main for most, like rock, classic rock, and more rock, you know.
Yeah, and you know, I saw that too, like in Thunder Bay, like it would be like metal, then us playing some reggae tunes, and you know, so some people were not digging it, but then, you know, you had a few metalheads kind of, you know, bobbing, and it's like
you get the few people that aren't exposed to different styles of music, like, oh yeah, thanks for giving that to me, thanks for offering that to me. And I'm usually listening to a couple styles of rock, and you're not, you know, it's a good surprise. Like, I've done a few shows in Edmonton now, and there's like, yeah, it's mostly rock based in Edmonton, but I'm getting some good, feedback from people like, oh, that's different, that's cool, like thanks for bringing that, that's different. I always get different is definitely the adjective I get a lot from. Oh, that was different.
I've gotten that too. And
I didn't
I'm not
expect that.
I'm not sure how I feel when I get that one.
It could go either way, right? It's like it could go like it's a nice way of saying I don't like that, and it's a nice way of saying like I didn't expect that. So I take it with a grain of salt. Like I take it like, okay, I've exposed you to it now.
You didn't expect that.
Yeah, you're damn right you didn't expect that. It's fucking, I come up here and it's not what you expect. So, I think that's the theme of it, right? It's just like having a whole bunch of styles under your belt and a whole bunch of different influences under your belt, and it just like bleeding through in your live performances and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think.
And I could really see it with your performances is just where you grew up and like the exposure you had to the outdoors and just like an understanding and appreciation for the outdoor life. And it really reads through your music. It's nice. It's nice and refreshing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So can we? So we're looking forward to an EP from you.
Yeah. That's it could have been done in the next 3 weeks, but there's actually something I want to throw on there as well. So I'm shooting for probably late August, early September to have that finished. I think.
I should have this podcast out in a week or so, and we'll put some links on. And so you got the show tomorrow, which is July 6th at
Friday at the Revival Bar.
Revival.
Yeah, it's a fitting name for us coming back to it.
Coming
back to it. And then everyone's doing a little bit of traveling there after that show. I think I'm playing in a solo acoustic set at the Dark Horse on the west end of town, and then at the end of the month. And then I go to Europe for a bit, and then I come back, and as soon as I get back, we'll be playing at the Horseshoe on August 16th.
August 16th at the Horseshoe. And so where are you going in Europe?
I'm going to land in Iceland, so I'll be in Iceland for about 12 hours. A massive layover, so I'm probably going to rent a car. And I haven't decided if I'm going to drive to a glacier or a volcano. They're kind of, polar opposites there. So we'll see. I'm kind of leaning towards the volcano. Then I go to London, visit a friend there for a couple of days, then to Paris, do the same thing. And then I'm actually meeting a buddy I went to journalism school with in Lisbon. And we're going to hang out there for probably about 5 days. But he's running into some visa issues. He's Canadian, but... So he wanted to go to Germany, but he can't because he's having some sort of visa issue. So he says we're going to try and go to Spain.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens there. Yeah. I'm gonna go. I'm not sure if the borders align. Probably it's probably like a normal border. It's
once you get out of the UK, once you're in the EU, it's free. It's free for all. It's you can go anywhere on train. You're not going through security. You don't have to, like, once you're in, you're good. So you can go if you're in Lisbon, you're in Portugal. You just take the train over to Spain, and then you can go up through to France to Germany. The train's the way to go there. Like once you get off the island in the UK, it's good to go. And just advice: I wouldn't buy any train tickets right now. Just get it when you get there.
All right.
And go at night if you can. Like if you want to travel overnight, save yourself a night at a hotel or something. And I think it's usually cheaper sometimes to go overnight because most trains are just returning stuff, cargo and stuff like that. And for me, traveling train, I noticed the difference between regular class and first class is usually about $10-15. So it's usually better to get first class because you get mostly that's like the air conditioned segregated. So you get the nice air conditioned cars, and you get served, you get coffee, and you get food and all that stuff. So the difference between $10, $15, it's usually better to get first class.
If you're
Unless it's like a dramatic $100 change, then it's not. And I know from leaving cities like Paris and London, some of the bigger cities, it's like get your ticket beforehand. Go a day or so before, like especially if you're leaving like a Saturday morning or something. Say if you're leaving out of Paris on a Saturday morning.
Where they fill up?
Yeah. Oh yes, big time. And
that's good to know.
Yeah, I was told because I was leaving on a Saturday morning in Paris to go south France, and the Airbnb host, she was like, you should buy your ticket beforehand because if you show up on a Saturday morning, good luck. It's like you won't get a ticket. And it's like the train is a mile long and it's full. It's packed. And everybody takes the train across Europe. It's the way to go.
All right. Taking the train.
All right. Anything else you want to touch on? Yeah, we think we covered a lot.
Yeah. Went through my whole childhood there.
Yeah, that's good. We walked through a lot. I think we're an hour deep. We got a lot in.
All right. Yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, look for Nothing Man Music on Facebook, Instagram.
I love that name. That's just so stripped away, like stripped back of frills and. Yeah, and that's nonsense. And this is what it is. This is just straight up music. It's the.
Yeah, and I think that was it's for me it's a name, but it's also kind of I'm trying to do a lifestyle choice of just letting things go and open yourself up to the possibilities. That's the idea behind the name.
Well, that's the nice theme to wind up this podcast. Podcast number 4, the Focus Podcast. Evan Pang, thank you so much for sharing this time with me and the story. And it's a real cool story with all the listeners. And look forward to his music coming out near the end of the summer. And if you guys can get out to the Horseshoe August 16th and see Evan Pang and his band perform live. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.
Cheers.
I'm gonna sing a song called Medusa here.
Until we stop the turning, until we started 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 turning. So you were my Medusa, and don't be seducer, until we started turning. So you were my Medusa, and don't be abuser, until we started turning. So you were my Medusa, and don't be seducer, until we started turning. So you were my Medusa, and don't be a user, until we started turning. Until we started turning, 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 until we started turning. Hold you close, then we turned to stone. Said I would hold you close, then we turned to stone. Until we started turning, 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 until we started turning. So I would hold you close.
Thank you.